the board, that's likely going to drop down in priority.
Taking their time here on this first pick. Maybe just going to be comfort. Obviously, final game on stage. No need to try something too crazy. Can just go for things that have worked for you in the past. Crash, obviously, very comfortable on the Lee Sin, so it will be the first pick lock-in.
And Drakos, you were mentioning while we were off camera, imagine you're in Licorice's shoes and you dominate the first week of World's group stage, and then this next week you're put on M1ssion early game. You would want to change that with how well he's been able to perform. So I'm looking as well to see if C9 can actually pick very aggressive top and mid lanes, have Blaber play through those lanes, and then even though Deftly has the Kaisa, just let him scale up throughout the rest of the game.
It's going to be hard to be certain until we see the lock in there, but it will be a very powerful bot lane for the side of C9. We'll see if Licorice gets his choice of powerhouse champions there on the top side of the map for now. HKA need to respond. Will they just try to match on bot lane? Xayah, of course, is still up and available. Could also try to go for some mages themselves. Pretty much their kind of pick of the litter of bot lane picks outside of the Tristana.
Ooh, we did see some Jinx yesterday from Kobe, and well, I don't think it was the most dominant pick. It was definitely interesting to watch, and they're going to be running it into the Kaisa. She does have a bit of a range advantage, and set up with something like a Thresh, she can land those traps pretty easily. But I think that during the laning phase, you have to be very careful when playing up against the likes of a Nautilus especially.
Yeah, I think if they end up locking in this Thresh, it will give the Jinx a little bit more safety. My personal opinion is that Xayah is the best AD carry to play against Cloud9, because when they win, it is by just mauling the AD carry of the other team in full dive team fights, and Xayah is good against that. Jinx, not so much.
Of course, if it gets snowballing, maybe we can see the raw power of Jinx present itself, but difficult for Unified. Opting for comfort over what is considered meta power, and the Ekko now coming in.
Obviously, this could go in either mid or jungle, but this is something that was really, really popular in solo queue. And when Cloud9 first subbed Blaber in, I thought it was to either play the Ekko or the Nidalee, because it's the two champions that he had been playing to most success and most in EUS solo queue. So we haven't seen many people play this. We saw it 4 times on the first day of Worlds playing, and it has been completely absent since then. But I think this will be Blaber trying to show up on Jungle Ekko.
And regardless of where it goes, if you want to dive the AD carry, as you mentioned, Jatt, Ekko is a perfect champion to do so as we approach the mid game. But for now, Cloud9 now focusing their bans on the top side of the map. Once again, trying to secure something comfortable for Licorice, taking the GP away from 3Z after pretty monster early game up against Griffin earlier in the day.
So Cloud9 just taking away some of the safe blind pickable top laners. It looks like that they do want to try and give Licorice some kind of a counter pick. Hong Kong Attitude right now have a relatively safe and open draft, but given their options, some of the only... I think they want to avoid picks like a Syndra, especially given that the Ekko could potentially go into the mid lane, but also Ekko is a very good pick into that. And you can see the Hong Kong Attitude are also banning away some of the comforts that Cloud9 often default to in the form of Irelia and the Qiyana.
Now they have the pick. Who are they actually going to save this last pick, counter pick? Will they reveal where the Ekko is going to go? Currently, expectation is jungle. Obviously, a lot can change depending on what the enemy team locks. And a Jax now can technically jungle. Jungle Jax hasn't really been hit super hard, but I expect it to go into Licorice on the top side of the map, and that is a spicy pick.
Malphite top is what I want to now see. That is the counter to Jax,
I think
I'm telling you.
You're falling into what I like to refer to as the do and be trap, where he plays it, you're then convinced it's a viable meta pick.
No, I'm telling you, Malphite top lane, really strong counter to Jax, my man. It's really strong as well, especially if you go Iceborne Gauntlet. You have kill pressure in the laning phase. It is a really strong matchup.
I don't know, Vedi. Every time you see a lock-in, you think, okay, Nocturne mid would be good here.
It wouldn't be good here, by the way, but
against the Ryze, I mean, it would be a great mid laner.
I mean, it could be, maybe, but we won't dive into that. We won't dive into that. Something you brought up, Jatt, yesterday was how, with Vizicsacsi doing so well on champions like the Chogath, it may increase the popularity of the pick. I, however, think Chogath is not a good matchup into Jax whatsoever, because I think that it is very difficult to stop Jax from literally just hitting you and clonking you with his lamp for as long as he wants. So I'm not a massive fan of the pick, and I think the Hong Kong Attitude are going to have to find some big advantages in either mid or bot side of the map if they want to come out on top.
Oh, and I like that. If you got to go out with style. Looks like Nisqy is going to take the Yasuo into the mid lane. Jax on the top side, Blaber with the Ekko in the jungle. This is an explosive composition from the side of Cloud9. It feels like Hong Kong Attitude just have to survive this one in the early to mid game.
Well, the tricky thing is, if you get late-game Yasuo, Kaisa, Jax, that's also a pretty strong split-pushing composition, so I think it'll be potentially an explosive game, and we're also going to get to see our first group stage of, I think, the top Jax and the jungle Ekko.
So C9's draft looks very much of what I would normally see in my solo queue draft, where you're like, okay, you have some AP damage, you have some AD damage, but then you have the two solo layers like, pick me this champ, I will win lane and win game. And you're just like, okay. And your duo bot lane is like, we should probably pick something safe and standard to make sure that if something goes wrong, we can be an insurance.
The world stage pride on the line for both of these lineups. And no matter who you're here to cheer for today, never hurts to give it a little bit of love.
So,
lineups playing.
Before we dive into the game, Jatt, very quickly, something that, from the perspective of many fans, will be very important is pick'ems. So, in the event that HKA win and tie the score, do you know what happens to pick'ems?
More points for everyone.
Really?
Yeah. When there is a tie between 3-4, since they don't play a tiebreaker, anyone who put them in 3 or 4 will get the points for correct pick.
Oh, okay.
So what you're saying is, if Cloud9 want to help out...
Oh, by the way, if that's wrong, I'm not going to be able to tell you that now. Just check. Someone on Twitter will be like, that's definitely wrong.
You said it with so much confidence.
I was bored. I was
like,
wow.
If anyone's going to know this is Jatt.
Yeah,
this is like, this got to be a Jatt fun fact. Most certainly.
Yeah, I think it's right.
All right, so if you did not watch plans, we have seen a decent amount of Ekko jungle. Overall, it has felt like a bit of a lackluster replacement for Elise with a very high theoretical output that has never really been reached.
I mean, it's funny if you didn't watch play-ins day 1, because that was the last time we saw it. It got picked 4 times, lost either all 4 or 3 out of 4 of the games, and then was just dropped by absolutely everyone. But I played a bit of Jungle Ekko myself. I've watched a lot of Tracking the Pros where Jungle Ekko was very prevalent, and I'm going to be interested to see if this game turns into more of a solo queue game, because why I feel Jungle Ekko has been a good challenger elo pick, but not necessarily a good pro pick, is the amount of gold you can actually get on the jungle. Because I think one of his greatest strengths is his ability to gank lanes and then very quickly shove and steal stuff from his solo laners, which is great for the greedy solo queue junglers. That's not how pro teams function for the most part, but it might be how Cloud9 is able to function in this game if Blaber wants to play very greedy, very fast, and try and snowball ahead.
And Blaber's been a guy so far in the tournament who has got a lot done in the early game, so I'm curious how aggressive, how greedy he is willing to play. For now, just clearing out his jungle. Obviously, first clear for Ekko is a little bit rough. Obviously, is very healthy, but will get much faster after that first back, and extremely quick after he finishes the Runic Echoes, one of the fastest clears post that item.
Yeah, that's exactly the thing with Ekko, is you also have to get a little bit of gold income early, and then you can start trying to take over the game. But his level 3 with double buffs, actually very strong. So nice wraparound on this gank with Mission.
Has to sidestep on this one when Wall does come out, but Blaber does a lot of damage. Is not going to follow up the flash there, will not proc the Z-Drive Resonance, and Mission just going to be forced to flash away.
But this means they actually have mid-lane priority if he wants to try and go for the Scuttle. The problem is Licorice just recalled. Now, in the previous 2 games for C9, the C9 jungler died going for this Scuttle Crab. 3rd time's a charm. C9 can secure it. I think.
Everybody, will it happen? Will he secure it? And that's it.
Now they win. That's been what means the winner-loss for C9.
The defining moment. There you go. Thank you, audience, for cheering for that one.
Pack it up, boys. It's over.
That's
There's
it.
no way HKA bounce back from this.
Oh, good hook. Lantern's there. Defi just going to make his way out. And for now, Jinx able to sustain the pressure. A lot of just free attack speed with the minigun.
So we've been speaking a lot about the jungle Ekko, but we can see some of the value that this Jinx pick also has into a Kaisa. Because she can outrange her early, and because of the base attack speed bonuses that she'll get from her Q, it actually allows her to push the wave pretty effectively. And as we just saw, the Lantern provides a lot of safety as well. So it's very difficult, especially in early levels, for the Nautilus to all in. This means that you gain early prio, you have that pressure, and it gives the jungler the freedom to play towards the bot side of the map.
Interesting as well. So we see the top side matchup. It feels like Licorice is surviving in these trades, but not necessarily coming out on top. Corrupting Potion will give him the sustain edge, but difficult to out-sustain a Chogath.
Yeah. I'm interested that Licorice took Kleptomancy and not Conqueror for extended fights later on in the laning phase against the Chogath, because it definitely feels like the Chogath wins extended trades thanks to multiple grass procs. I think one thing that is underrated about Kleptomancy is it's not all about the gold. It's sometimes about the consumable sustain and potions that you can get from it, but Going to be interesting to see if Licorice ends up actually falling fairly far behind in this lane, because 3Z has a good amount of pressure and also is very willing to trade.
So I can also see how, for the Chogath, in early levels, the extended fighting is probably not going to favor, as Jatt was saying, just because of all that sustain that you have. And like the passive, by killing all those minions, you're able to just vamp it back up, and then the Jax finds himself with only half his HP, and he's like, well, if I commit to this trade again, I might die, or the jungler might be there. So in a drawn-out fight, I'm actually quite surprised in the early game. This is not what I was expecting to happen. So as you said, it could very much be a rune, or it could actually just be how the matchup plays out.
Conquer obviously changes a lot. The more drawn out a fight, the more value you get from Conquer. The hook does land. Crash now coming in. That's going to be big. Zeyzal in trouble. Looks like first blood will drop for HKA and Crash.
And that was the Thresh Jinx combo. Landed hook straight into the Flame Chompers as Crash was there. Since Blaber had showed top on ward, just a well-done gank by HKA.
Nisqy needs to land this one. Is going to get a chance to CC together. A perfect knock.
Whoa.
That was clean. Yasuo mechanics.
And that is the Ekko Yasuo combo, the one that they set up for in the mid lane, where because you're suspended in air for such a long time, it makes it easy for Ekko to land his W, and then there's very little that the Ryze can do. Yes, it does cost Nisqy both of his summoners, but the Yasuo and the Ekko are able to find a kill for Cloud9.
And I love the way he's willing to commit the flash there to find the knockup. Doesn't take the risk on the tornado, instead uses the Q2. Obviously, when paired with the sweeping blade, along with the flash, just looks really solid from Nisqy. And this play, well executed by the side of HKA.
Yep, 2 solid plays as we talked about right there, just kind of locking Zeyzal down, making sure he can't flash away.
And back to the top side of the map, where we wait slowly but surely for Licorice to scale up. The Kleptomancy hopefully will let him finish a first major item earlier, potentially the tipping point in this matchup, but 3Z making good use of that lane pressure to track Blaber. A lot of vision has been placed in that jungle by HKA thus far this game, and second Scuttle Crab spawn will go over to the side of Crash. So all things considered, very even map, but does feel a little bit like HKA have found some decent advantages.
I think
Always
HKA is...
Really check the brush for the ward. You gotta get in that habit.
Don't give it away. If you cheer, you'll know, audience. Just shh.
Happened to Svenskeren in 2 in the Griffin game. There are actually 2 wards, and he just kind of ran right through the goalposts of control wards in his jungle. It only takes half a second, but definitely worth checking.
Mission? Yeah, nope. Okay, that one's less excusable. It's fine.
You know what's happened there, right? He's looking at bot lane, and he's clicking his mini-map,
Yeah.
but not actually looking at his screen.
And that's
classic. Fine. It's almost as bad as like basing and then just sitting in the shop while you base.
And then your screen's red and you're like, wait, what's happening?
What
you're like, oh, I'm dead.
Where was my tea?
Okay, now I've got more time to shop. And Blaber clearing out what vision he can. Of course, no jungle item completed. Not very easy for him to take the Drake. No real innate sustain in Ekko's kit in the early jungle outside of that item. So see if he's more confident to take it. You can see Deftly and Zeyzal as they get closer to level 6 should feel more comfortable in this lane, but Crash kind of constantly hovering around the bot side and threatening some of these more aggressive ganks.
Yeah, definitely showing everyone bot, so C9's got to bail. See if he can land the hook.
Ooh. Nice sidestep there, coming in from Zeyzal, as well as Deftly. And overall, it feels like outside of that play mid and that play bottom, the game has slowed down a decent amount. Obviously, good vision for both sides means that it's a bit harder to make these very aggressive, very proactive plays.
I mean, HK probably feel very comfortable right now. They have advantages in both top and bot. Mid is still relatively even though the Ryze did die. His flash is now back up. And with his ultimate available, he could also look for a roam towards the bot side of the map. I do like this vision that we're seeing in the bot side river from Cloud9. But now that they know that Blaber is top side, this is where I'd want to see HK consider looking to move through towards the bot side of the map.
Yeah, I'm looking at the gold, though, and I can see that what C9 is setting up for. Blaber is the highest gold on C9 and also just completed his Runic Echoes, right even with Nisqy. So he's kind of prioritizing topside rather than trying to make something happen bottom, right? They got control ward vision in the Infernal Drake, and then instead of staying down there like you'd see most other pro junglers do, he just full cleared up all the way from his blue side to his red side jungle base to get items, and now he's coming bot to hopefully find a fight.
And Nisqy now standing on a ward. He won't find an opportunity to move in there, but have to respect the chain CC potential. Normally the Ekko W is very unreliable to land, but between the Nautilus, the Yasuo, you could set that up perfectly to find 1 or 2 picks at this stage of the game.
Yeah, and where things are really going well for Hong Kong Attitude is the bottom lane Jinx. It's a 30 CS advantage basically Jinx over Kaisa, and it's where they were able to generate their kill.
Blaber stepping forward. Really need 3 procs on the passive if you are going to chase. But, I mean, you talked about it in Champ Select, Jatt. Kind of how C9 are a team that is excellent at capitalizing on these more vulnerable bot lanes.
So TP is available on the Chogath, and HKA was in a position to go for this. The ward is right behind C9, so they could force this collapse.
So now are they going to be able to steal it? No, the Ekko does manage to take it away. The Knock'em is there, and the Lee Sin instantly dies for trying to step to that pit. But Licorice is now TP'd in. Can just hop his way back out to safety.
Not a fan of the execution here from HKA. That ward right there next to Nisqy, that could have been the flank that could have given HKA the opportunity to get a big fight, especially with how strong the Jinx is with already an early BF. But instead, they wait for the Lee Sin to go in first, and now Cloud9 have the advantage to dive this tower.
Locked under tower will force Blaber's ult out. Mission surviving for now, but you can see Nisqy steadily building a CS advantage. Multiple plates now going in the favor of Cloud9 as well. They're going to be feeling pretty good about the state of the game, grabbing the Inferno, helping them scale up later, along with tying up the gold.
Yeah. Always beneficial for C9 when they can win the 50-50 on the Infernal Drake with the early game. That also has Crash come in to get another kill over to Blaber. So Blaber really the main beneficiary of all the stuff that's happening in the early game. Still sitting at a very high gold total, keeping his farm up and looking to be that kind of solo queue-esque carry Ekko.
And now I'm wondering if we see a similar setup around the Rift Herald. Vision has been placed down, but unfortunate timing means Crash can clear it out if he wants to. Is this the next big arena? Are HKA going to feel okay to fight? The Jinx does have the Infinity Edge completed versus just the Manamune on the side of Deftly.
Well, 3Z is bought without TP, so if Crash starts the Rift Herald and C9 want to contest, they have to back away, which is what they're doing right now.
I do find it quite funny that HK set up for these objectives and then just leave. We saw it on the Drake where they had all this vision and then they like, nope, I'm going to go clear my jungle camps. And then HK did exactly the same thing at this Rift Herald where they set up all this vision, allow C9 to walk in, clear it out, and you notice how C9 is staying in the river. So when HK tried to contest, they get collapsed on.
That's going to be a beautiful stun. They do manage to lock down the support. That's going to be hurt. Kaiwing locked up, tries to buy, but the chain CC should come in. A perfect flash now takes him up, but the Jax is going to follow up. Licorice now could be in trouble. Keep your eyes on the reset from Unified, but right now C9 are just dominating the fight. The Jinx needs to find a kill. Maybe if she can get one, they can start to turn this one back around. For now, it is advantage to C9. Blaber fearlessly leaping forward. Will be able to take the blast down. The Jinx has not gotten any resets. Definitely goes into the backside. That's a double kill for the Kaisa. First game on the world stage and picks up 2.
And that's some Blaber aggression right there. Just face checking in to get the 2-man stun that starts that entire fight. And then Nisqy is the one who came in huge towards the backside of that fight to land a 2-man ultimate.
There is nothing more frustrating on a Jinx than seeing all these low health targets and not being able to execute any of them.
TP though coming in. Are they going to try to fight this? It's getting lower and lower.
Blaber doesn't even have smite.
Not quite a 50-50. He's going to be in trouble. That's going to be the reset for the Jinx. Now she's getting excited. He's going to dash forward. The wind wall is up and available. He's going to step back. The objective will go down in the favor of Cloud9. They've gotten the Herald. Nisqy now needs to run. There's no wind wall. This Yasuo is dead in the water. They just have to walk him down. The flash forward. Nisqy now back to the creep wave. Will not make it out.
So C9 do walk away with the Rift Herald. They found a bunch of kills, but they couldn't quite escape with all of their members as the Jinx was able to pick up, at the very least, a kill alongside his teammates. We were talking about this, how HKA conceded all of their vision in the river, and then they tried to face check where C9 were primed and ready. So HKA kind of get caught off guard. They end up getting split up, and you can see how a beautiful ultimate from Nisqy allows C9 to split up the side of HKA.
Yeah, gotta credit Zeyzal for getting the Nautilus R that allowed the suspension to kick in from Nisqy. And then really just tight fight down the end, definitely kind of dodging through both Unified and Kaiwing to pick up that double kill. And even though he ended up being down 40 CS in the early game, that double kill will definitely help speed up his items.
And you have to feel for the Jinx. It's going to be really hard to play out these fights because every single champion on the enemy team outside of the Nautilus is incredibly mobile in fights. It's going to be hard to lock a single member down in the face of a wind wall, in the face of the reset from the Ekko, the counter-strike from the Jax, the mobility from the Kaisa. So Unified, a lot of pressure on his shoulders to find a way to make it work.
It's definitely going to be tough.
Herald now, channeled mid. Plates, of course, already down, so C9 just looking to break open mid lane tower. Going to be important for a comp that could, in theory, 1-3-1. C9 wanted to go for it.
Yeah,
Focus on the mid lane.
Just trying to get this mid lane turret down, kind of break the map a little bit open, since the game is still very close.
Fishing for the avenues back into the fight. HKA just grouping mid, just responding to C9's aggression. Will just give up the mid lane tier 1 tower. Neither team with a massive gold lead quite yet, and 2 turret plates to 3, not necessarily the explosive early game we might have expected.
Well, I feel as though there weren't a huge number of opportunities. HKA could have tried to force more plays towards the bot side of the map. However, one of the issues that they had was that Nisqy maintained control because of that early kill, forcing Mission to play more defensively. So this game has become a little bit more about scaling, and that's where I feel C9 are much more comfortable because, as we said, it's all about the 2 solo laners. And if you look at them, Trinity Force is nearing completion, Nisqy now has his static Shiv, and this split push composition that C9 has is only going to get stronger, which makes it harder for HKA to be able to deal with the side lanes.
And of course, if you're Blaber, you have to be feeling good, because you're talking about those first item completions, and he's well on his way to the second, and he's second in gold as well. But once he finishes that proto belt, mid-game Ekko is one of the most difficult champions to fight in the game, hands down, especially once he has the proto belt. It's so easy for him to get in, to get out. You really never get a chance to pick a fight on your terms if Blaber is playing well.
And it's the type of thing you need to have Ekko be successful. When we've seen Ekko be a pro pick in the past, it's because he has good split push pressure, eventually farms up enough AP that he can just dive into the back of a fight and one-shot an AD carry. And when we saw it on the first day of play-ins, they really just weren't giving enough gold to themselves. And this game, I feel like Blaber's actually struck a very good balance of not stealing too much from his solo laners while still finding a way to get his own gold. It ended up being leaving Deftly and Zeyzal just completely out to dry. They were getting ganked, they'd been getting killed, he gave them absolutely no cover. But that's the type of sacrifice that you actually kind of have to make if you're going to be playing Jungle Ekko in Pro.
It's that, you know, meme where he looks at his bot lane and goes, "Look at me, I am the carry now."
He's like, definitely, by the way, first game on stage, I'm taking all the gold. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Nice, all right.
Nice.
It's going to be fine. He's got 100% kill participation, too, so if anything is happening, Blaber has been a part of it, so it feels natural that we kind of keep our eyes on the Ekko as we move later in the game.
This Chogath is literally just looking at this samurai, just cut away at his tower, and he's like, "There's nothing I can do. I am countered by this sword man."
It's because HKA has 2 people up top lane, so he was wondering what C9 was going to do with their play.
Kaiwing pulls him right back in, but he's just going to snap right back out, and Deftly on a killing spree. That was an easy setup for Cloud9.
Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Nisqy is taking another tower, and HKA are trading it towards the top side, as you were talking about, Jatt. But the fact that HKA lost that kill in mid definitely puts them as the loser in this trade.
No, Mission Crash have to be careful, though. I don't think Blaber knows that they're here. Has thrown it behind him, though. Might be fishing. Bit of a stun. They're going to see the retreat there, and HKA will walk away. Blaber just clearing out some vision.
Gotta say, it must be feeling pretty good for Deftly and Blaber right now to both be getting subbed into the game and have 5 of the team's 6 kills. Right here, Ryze, Lee Sin, and Cho were all shown on the map, so C9 knew it would only be 2 people possible to hold that, and Blaber just goes in for the kill.
Definitely a solid game overall from Blaber. Like you set it up beautifully, Jatt, right from the beginning of the game, where the expectations for this pick were that it would be a little bit more selfish in its approach, where you focus more on getting yourself to the point at which you can be a carry. And now Blaber is ready, and he's influencing. He's putting his influence on the map with the gold lead that he has, and we saw that tower dive being...
And it's a lot of influence. Protobelt is a huge spike, Lichbane is another huge spike, and he already has the Sheen. So this Ekko is incredibly powerful. You have to feel that at this stage of the game, he can 1v1 anyone on the map. He doesn't even have to be a jungler anymore if he doesn't want to be. He could just go side lane.
And you want to talk about other item spikes. Trinity Force now done for the Jax as well. Infinity Edge nearing completion for Nisqy. The only bright side for HKA is that Unified is very close to his second item. And once that is done, then HKA can look to try and force a 5v5 fight, which is the best way for them to come back into the game.
And I also have to say that C9's weakness with Blaber hasn't been early. It's been between 15 and 25 minutes. It's where they have looked a little bit lost on the overall map, and it's generally when Svenskeren had been looking better. So this would also be the time where Blaber and C9 with Blaber would want to show a bit of growth in being able to actually take this 2,000 gold advantage and 2 Drakes and turn it into a victory.
There's 4 members of Cloud9, or rather HKA on the bottom side, so Cloud9 do just walk up and take this tier 2 top side. They're just going to walk in to contest this inhibitor. Chogath is the only one who's coming back. They can look to dive if they want to. Obviously a difficult target with the stopwatch up and available. Mission now stepping over. Cloud9 will not take the risk. They will pull back because Deftly and Zeyzal are pushing in the mid lane. And 3Z, not enough of a threat to stop them. Blaber just goes right back out. Now the stun is going to come down, will not connect. The knockup is there. Yasuo just going to look to extend it. The Chogath getting cut down. Knockup coming back though. Crash maybe can look to get out of this one. 3Z continuing to step forward. A bold gambit. The kick does connect. Blaber's already used the ultimate, but the Z-Drive Resonance will zoom him out to safety.
Wow. So Cloud9 actually convert that. Oh! Nice snipe there from Unified.
If this was an NFL game, we would have been like, that's the greatest catch of all time. Sadly, it's League of Legends. that was clean from Unified.
And that is such a big kill to fly over to Hong Kong Attitude because they want to have these set up team fights with a hyper carry Jinx in the back. That means Jinx will be closer to Bloodthirster, to GA, and it means he's dead for 10 seconds.
And remember, it's 200
they have the Chogath
to 174 in the farm category. The Jinx is doing incredibly well this game. This is the sole carry of HKA at this moment. And they're shredding through this.
Zeyzal's not even there. They don't even have knockup set up for Nisqy. They have to go right now. Licorice would have to jump in.
Blaber is dead. That's going to be it. Hong Kong Attitude getting the Baron right when it feels like C9 have a death grip on the game. They're right back in it.
And we talked about how Unified was the win condition, but none of us were expecting him to be the win condition in that capacity. Finding a pick onto the enemy jungler and then converting that into a Baron to close the gold gap and allow HKA more time to stall, get the items needed to allow this Jinx to be the big carry and turn the game around for HKA.
And when we talk about teams like needing a miracle to come back in a game, this might not be a great example of needing a miracle, but that was a miracle. Because any other situation, you weren't going to kill Blaber. He got out of the play. So finding that kill in that moment when your team is already set up to do Baron is incredible for HKA.
And then on top of that, they caught Zeyzal on a reset. If Nautilus is there as well at the Baron pit and can just press R on someone, that's easily enough threat to take a team off a 20-minute Baron because 100%. The Yasuo would be able to combo with anything they threw. So really just smart play by HKA to be at that deficit, but understand that that one kill onto Ekko could potentially mean so much.
This now frees HKA up to group in the mid lane if they want to. The Chogath no longer has to worry about being aggressive, can just focus on protecting the Jinx in the fights to come. But Nisqy starting to fish for a play. The knockup will not connect. The Jinx is uncontested on the opposite side of the wall, though. She's going to be free hitting on the front line of C9. A lot of strong members. Can they find it? Unified continuing to fight. The Lee Sin now goes in. Nisqy steadily stepping backwards. Licorice, can he find the flank? Zeyzal is now in trouble. Jinx is getting excited, and for good reason. Nisqy has to run for the hill. The wind wall. Is it going to save him? He's ticking. He's burning. He's not going to drop in the end. HKA take the fight.
That was a big team fight win for HKA, and C9 just looked very disorganized. Licorice was trying to recall teleport. Wasn't actually in base by the time he started channeling this teleport, so he never bought with his 1,700 gold before that fight. HKA also won it in the process and now can push through with this Baron.
And you spoke about how between the 15 and 25-minute mark is where Blaber often struggles and C9 often struggles with him in the roster. And we see it here. Cloud9 trying to force this fight when they just don't need to. You just have to wait the Baron out. Avoid 5v5 fights against this HKA roster because that is exactly what they want. We've been talking about this whole game about Unified is the win condition for HKA, and as you identified in the fight, Drakos, he was just sitting back behind the wall, free hitting whoever he wanted. Like, there is no threat onto Unified right now, and there is nothing he needs to be worried about.
Yeah, and Blaber ends up being focused, can't all back out of the fight, and since they didn't have the initiation on a squishy member, and instead they had to go through this big Chogath, they just can't win a front-to-back team fight, especially when their Jax isn't in the fight.
And of course, you always have to give C9 the credit. If they do find an Ekko stun onto the Jinx, she'll probably get one shot. There's a lot of damage, there's a lot of good follow-up on the C9 lineup, but if you miss that shot, if you go in and you take that risk and you fail to kill the Jinx, your entire team is probably going to get wiped. So a lot of pressure now on C9 to play incredibly clean throughout the rest of the game.
The bright side for C9 is that the Baron will be wearing off in about 10 seconds, but for HKA, the best thing they can do is wait. They just want to wait for the next Baron to spawn. They know that at this point in the game, C9 is not going to try and force a fight, and it's going to take time for C9 to reclaim a lot of the map control that they have lost. In that time, HKA should be setting up and getting ready for the Baron to force another big fight around that objective. Because if they get another 5v5, HKA can make the comeback a reality and turn this into a big win.
Yeah, keep in mind, Hong Kong Attitude looking to pick up their first win of the World Championship group stage here. Crash gets the pick.
Usually LMS representative, Zeyzal going to get taken out. A perfect start to the fight for the Jinx. Jack's blocking what he can with the counter-strike, but Licorice still getting poked out here. The red buff. Stop doing much more. The tower will break. That should be the inhibitor as well. HKA barreling down the mid lane. Don't even need the Baron buff. A single pick is more than enough for them to break open the base.
I mean, you mentioned it, Drakos. Baron buff, nah. Just group up mid, run it down, right? Just glory Chogath. What more could you need? They find a successful pick onto Zeyzal and they convert it into an inhibitor. They have top pushing, they have bot pushing. You can see pings coming down and they have the right set on another inhibitor.
Moving up to the top side, and the thing is, it doesn't get easier here from Cloud9. The gold deficit, not massive, but the Jinx is only getting stronger, and in a minute and 30 seconds, if HKA try to force, they have the Chogath. It is not a 50-50 with this champion in the game.
Yeah, and the only thing that C9 kind of has going for him here is the fact that Licorice has pushed out this bottom side, and they have a control ward on the Dragon. So I think it's extremely important for C9 with this second Infernal that they can be there first and find some type of flank. If they can get behind the rest of Hong Kong Attitude, because as we've seen in a front-to-back team fight, the Jinx Chogath is just going to destroy the team of 3 melee champions and a Kaisa. So C9 played a lot of compositions similar to this throughout the regular season. We'll have to see if they can find a flank against Hong Kong Attitude.
And in theory, they have tools to mitigate what the Jinx wants to do. They have the wind wall, they have the counter-strike. Ekko has the reset. We said it before, but have to execute, have to find a way to get on top of that champion, and can't afford to lose a single member at the start of the fight and give her all that additional movement speed to just run in and out. So looks like Death Brush gonna be the partial setup here for C9, hoping to catch someone from HKA out. Dragon is about to respawn. Baron 26 seconds away.
That's an important break as well. C9, they can't afford to give this one away, especially given that the Jinx has now hit 3 items, which means we're probably going to see another fight. And for C9 to be able to, you know, reclaim the advantage that they had initially, they want to try and force a pick now.
Whoever poking.
Cho isn't there yet.
They get forced into a choke, either side, and whether the Ekko stun or the Chogath rupture connects, it could be a disaster.
So it's interesting because Baron's up as well right now. They didn't immediately go for the Drake, but right now it would be set up in front to back. C9 has no flank position, which I think means HKA can just get mid priority.
Is there. Stun potentially from Blaber on the side. No one's going to get locked up. He will get hooked, however. That's going to be big. It's going to force the ult out. At least the Zhonya's for now. The knockup is there. They're looking for Unified on the backside, but he also has a stopwatch of his own. Unified now needs to make it out of safety. The melee champion's finally going to look to get on top of the Jinx, but still unhit. That's going to be it. Cloud9 suddenly winning the fight. The orb walking is not enough. The shutdown is there, and Cloud9 just turn it around.
Or you just faceplant into 5 and get a clean ace. How did that happen by C9? Blaber was able to tank so much aggro, and that bought time for Licorice and Nisqy to flank around. Guys, this could be game.
Cloud9 are just barreling down the mid lane. They have the creep wave behind them. They just need to make sure that someone is tanking so the creeps do not die. And that's going to be it. I can't believe it. HKA seems set to take the game, but in a monumental team fight, Cloud9 will close out their Worlds run at 2-4, and hopefully it can put a smile on their face. It's a happy game and a happy close.
You can see smiles all around for Cloud9. A little bit of happiness after a disappointing Worlds run. Blaber subs back in, also gets his win against Hong Kong Attitude as Sven Skaren did, and for Deftly, he's able to pick up his first win on the world stage.
The odds were against Cloud9 at the beginning of the tournament. Expectations were that maybe they could find an upset against an unknown Griffin, but especially coming into week 2, we saw the potential of this team and what kind of a mountain that Cloud9 had to overcome. They definitely had some up and down performances, but I think that they made some waves at this year's World Championship, and finding a big final win to end 2-4 is something they can at least be pleased with.
And you got to feel good for Deftly. You see the smiles, you see the jitters. First win on the world stage. I mean, give it up for this man. Plays the final game. You know, doesn't get to come in and be the savior, but he does get to make his mark on the tournament, and that's a good look.
Just gets camped by Lee Sin and Thresh for the whole game.
And then gets to dive in at the end of team fight and grab a couple kills. So
yeah, and on the side of Hong Kong Attitude, this also marks the end of their Worlds journey. And it feels strange to say, but of the 06 groups we've seen, this was one of the better performances because there were almost every game where they were competitive in the mid-game. Yeah. They were just unable to close out any victories. We even heard Caps in his interview at the start of the day say, actually, I feel like Hong Kong Attitude will get an upset today. Unfortunately for them, that wasn't true. They will end at 06, but they did put up a fight in this group stage.
Yeah, and there were a few wild stomps in this group, but there was also so many close games where G2 were on the cusp of defeat. Griffin were on the cusp of defeat.
That keeps happening the whole World Championship. Like, we've been here since the play-in stage, casting it all, and even just thinking about group stage, like, the big upsets that could have happened is just the favorite getting a Baron steal and then still winning. We just don't see the big upsets.
I just love it because you can tell when people don't watch the games. It's like, yeah, what are you talking about? It's a 6-0 group stage for G2. And I'm like, oh, that's a 6-0 potentially, but it's a lot of rough games. So, I mean, close worlds. And I love it because I think the expectation coming to this world is it would be one of the closest that we've had. High expectations, I think, for EU. Some teams living up to them, some teams not.
I mean, shout outs to everyone who stuck around from Game 1 to Game 6 to see this battle for first place, because not only can G2 get first place, with the win, they'd be the first European team to go 6-0 in the group stage. As you mentioned before, there's 3 teams all time that have done that. Samsung went in 2014, won Worlds. SKT in 2015, won Worlds. Longzhu 2017, quarterfinal defeat. Don't forget about just that didn't happen.
2 out of 3.
If they go 6-0, 66% chance of winning Worlds.
But let's also not forget what it means to be a first seed versus a second seed.
Yeah.
First seed means you don't have to fight a team like FPX, SKT, and potentially whoever comes out of Group D, which could be anyone at this point, versus one of the arguably easier teams, right? And it's one of those situations where this seed matters a lot. And while G2 may feel confident that they can beat everyone, why take the risk? So I think that we need to see peak performance from both these teams coming into this game, because it really does matter for both of them.
And they've certainly taken a lot of risks, Vedius. Well, coming up next, it's time for the battle for first. G2